Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining in. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with all of you today. So, for those who don't know me yet, I am Riya and I am the Global Applications Manager for the African region at Advoy. We might have already connected through WhatsApp calls or emails, but now it's a time for a proper formal introduction. So, over the past years, I have had the incredible opportunity to assist students from various countries, including Nigeria, on their journey to study in Canada. And let me tell you, it's been an amazing experience working with all of you. So, today in our webinar, we will be diving into the nitty gritty of the Canadian student visa, from eligibility criteria to application process. I have got everything covered. Plus, I'll also talk about the essential tips for the counselors and how to navigate the common challenges in the visa application process. So, I'm genuinely excited to share my knowledge and insights with all of you today. Thank you so much for taking out time for this session. Also, if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I have got my wonderful colleagues, Abel, Foluso, and Solomon here with me. So they will be happy to help right away, or I can take them up during our Q&A session. You can also reach out to me through WhatsApp or email. My contact details are there on the screen. So now let's get started. So before we jump into the core of eligibility criteria and the visa application process for studying in Canada, let's take a moment to explore why Canada is such an incredible choice. So this vast and diverse North American country is renowned for its stunning landscapes, friendly people, vibrant cities, and multicultural society. As you can already see on the screen, it has 10 provinces and 3 territories. And trust me, each of them has their own unique charm. So, studying in Canada offers a multitude of reasons to consider. Firstly, Canada boasts a world-class education system that is consistently ranked among the best globally. Universities and colleges here are renowned for their academic excellence, research opportunities, and innovative teaching methods. Plus, Canadian degrees and diplomas are recognized and valued worldwide. So, your students will be off to a great start in their careers. But again, it's not just about academics. Canadians are also famous for their warm and welcoming nature, which makes it easier for the international students to adapt and fit in. Educational institutions in Canada provide comprehensive support services, including academic advising, counseling, and career guidance. So, this will definitely make everyone feel right at their home. But there's more to it. Canada is surprisingly the most affordable country as compared to the others common study destination. So that kind of means that someone can get a top-notch education without breaking the bank. Also, Canada is consistently ranked among the countries with the highest standards of living. So people can experience a safe, clean, and healthy environment. And now, here's the cherry on the top. Canada offers various immigration pathways for the international students to become permanent residents. That means applicants have a choice to settle down and build their careers there after completing their studies. So it's kind of a win-win situation for the students. So to sum it all up, Canada is an incredible study destination that combines quality education, a welcoming atmosphere, affordability, post-graduation work opportunities, a high standard of living, and a potential long-term immigration prospects, making it a complete package. So now let's move on to the next and the most important part of this session, that is the eligibility criteria for the applicants. So, the first and the foremost important thing that someone will need is an acceptance letter. You can call it acceptance letter, offer letter, letter of acceptance, or whatever you want to call it, from a DLI approved institution. That's a designated learning institution. So it's just a fancy term for a school that meets all the requirements of the immigration department, and they can actually sponsor the international students. So after this webinar, I'll share this presentation and I've linked the website to check the list of schools that are DLI approved. So this acceptance letter should have crucial details like tuition fees, start and end dates, registration deadlines, the course you will be taking, and the DLI number of the institution and your student type. Also, it's best to aim for an unconditional acceptance letter, but if it's a conditional, make sure to provide the proof that you have met the eligibility criteria for the school. Now, let's move on to the finances. This aspect can literally make or break your visa application. We all know and agree that studying abroad can be costly, but you don't have to break your bank upfront. To show financial eligibility, you will need to demonstrate that you are already doing well in your home country and just need the right degree to boost your career. So, include the receipt of paying the initial tuition deposit and, if possible, pay the first semester tuition fees upfront. Although it is not mandatory to pay the first semester tuition fees, but yes, never miss paying the initial tuition deposit for the school. Alongside this, provide your bank statements for the last 6 months, which should show sufficient funds for your tuition fee, living expenses, and round-trip flight tickets. Most of the times, people just show the funds that are equivalent to the tuition fee and the living expenses, but they forget about the flight tickets. You have to prove the visa officer or the immigration officer that you have enough money to even come back to your home country after completion of your studies. Then, if you are a working professional, include your pay slips for the last 3 months and try to have a recently dated employment proof letter. And in case you are a business owner, then try show the ownership and annual earning proofs from your business, while other income sources like rentals, investments, or sponsorships can also be included. Now, when it comes to sponsorship, you have various options. So, the acceptable sponsors, according to the IRCC, include you, your parents, your partner, siblings, any scholarship. It can be from an educational institution or a private organization also. A reputable education loan. It can also include a Canadian bank account or a GIC letters from the participating institutions like CIBC and Scotiabank. Plus, your sponsor can also be a close relative of yours who genuinely want to support you. Now, let's talk about a digital photo. Ensure that the face is square to the camera with a neutral expression, and the photo should be taken within the last 6 months of your application. You can find the guidelines in the PDF issued by the IRCC and share the same with you after this webinar. Now, moving on to the next requirement, that is a medical exam. Although an upfront medical exam is optional for applicants in Nigeria or in other neighboring countries also, but I highly recommend getting it done before receiving a request. A list of authorized physicians can be found on their official website, and I'll also provide the link for the same for your reference. So when I say it's recommended to get it upfront, the only reason is that it will expedite the processing time and increase your chances of a quick visa approval. Otherwise, the immigration officer has to look into your file twice. Initially, they'll do a review. Your medical exam is not there. They will send a request to you. The applicant will go book a medical exam, get it done, upload the results, and which will take, at least 1 week to 10 days time. And then again, the applicant has to wait for the immigration officer to pick up their file and then start the evaluation process. But whereas if someone has done the medical exam upfront, it is easier and saves a lot of time also. Next up, make sure you have a valid international passport. Scan the data page as well as any stamped pages or visa in the current or previous passports if you have a travel history. Also, remember to check the passport's expiry date before applying for a study permit, as it must not expire during your study. So your passport should be valid even after completion of your course, because that's the only way you will be getting your postgraduate work permit and, study permit approved also. So now moving on to the application forms. So once you log in into the IRCC portal and complete the questionnaire, you will receive a documents checklist that include these forms. I'll explain the process later on in this session. So you have to download the forms from there. And please keep this thing in mind that the forms can only be opened in Adobe Acrobat Reader. And you don't need to print the forms. You can fill them out and sign them online. But please remember that you have to click on validate button in those forms to update the information with barcodes on the last pages. Now, moving on to the next most important information, client information. This will appear as optional on the portal, but don't be fooled. Don't fall for this trap. This is the most crucial section of your application that heavily influences the decision. Upload a single file with a merged letter of explanation, police report, experience letter, resume, marriage certificate, or any other supporting documents that you want to submit to the IRCC. Also, remember to keep the file size under 4 MB. Now, talking about letter of explanation, this plays a vital role. So, let's spend some time understanding about this thing. So, in a letter of explanation, you have to introduce yourself and provide your academic and professional background. Explain why you have chosen the specific program and school in Canada, emphasizing the benefits it will bring to your career and your home country upon your return. Also, please note that you have to be positive about your home country. This is not the place to criticize it, because otherwise you already are giving an impression to the immigration officer that you're not happy in your country and you want to move out to a different country. So which clearly states a rejection. Because although everyone knows that whoever is choosing to study in Canada, their main intention is to ultimately settle down there, get a PR. But we can't show this intention upfront to the immigration officer. That is why never say any bad thing about your home country, because that will give a false impression and the immigration officer will start doubting the intentions also. So just be positive about your home country, or if you can't be positive, at least be neutral about it. Then clarify the financial support and demonstrate strong ties to your home country. Something that will compel you to leave Canada after completion of your program. Also, don't forget to mention the understanding of the responsibilities as a student and your commitment to abiding by them. So, in summary, there are 3 essential aspects you need to focus on and convince the visa officer about. First, explain the purpose of your studies and the chosen program. Second, demonstrate sufficient funds for you and your dependents without relying on work in Canada. Lastly, provide strong evidence of ties to your home countries that will compel you to return after completing your studies. So it can be your family, it can be, you have a property there, you have a business going on, and all of these things. We can discuss these things in the later part of the session. So now let's take a quick look at the application process. So the first step is to create a secure account with IRCC, that is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. Don't worry, I'll share the link with you after our session. Just click on the register button and provide some basic information such as your valid email address, full name as per your passport, and the preferred language. They will give you an option to choose from English and French. So whatever language you are proficient in, you can select that. Once you have done that, we will need to verify the account through a code that is sent to the email that we used. Also, you have to pick up 4 security questions, and every time you log in into your account, you have to answer any of those questions. So now let's move on to logging in. Use your username and password to access your GCK account. When you are in, scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on Apply to come to Canada. Select the application for a study permit and a questionnaire will pop up. Each application is unique, so you will receive a questionnaire tailored just for you. So whatever you are answering, next question will be depending upon the same only. So remember, accuracy is the key. So you have to just state the actual and accurate information for the applicant. So after you have filled the questionnaire, you will get a document checklist. So most of these documents requirements are pretty standard, but there might be a few additional ones specific to the situation of your applicant. One, so these are the basic documents that they will ask you to upload, like application forms. Then if you have a co-op, mandatory co-op, they will ask you to upload that also. Then you have to upload your letter of acceptance, passport, proof of means of financial support, digital photo, request for medical exam, that again family information form, temporary resident visa made outside Canada, and client information. So one important thing to note is that you can only upload one document per field. So it's best to merge all your relevant documents into a single PDF file. Just make sure it's not larger than 4 MB. If you need help merging or compressing your files, you can use these websites like I Love PDF and smallpdf.com. So you can, merge or reduce the size of your files for free here. Lastly, there is a fee of 235 Canadian dollars for the application, with $150 for the study permit and $85 for the biometric fee. So this process may seem a bit overwhelming, but once you are actually in, so it's a very easy and smooth process. So that's basically a wrap. Everything is done. We have filed for the visa. Just keep an eye on the email and the GCK account for any updates that are coming in. If they are asking for any updates or something like that, just make sure you are proactive, and if they need any additional documents or something from your side, try to provide the same immediately or the same day. Just reduce your visa, to reduce the delays for the visa. So before we dive into the Q&A session, let me quickly address some common questions that have been popping up time and time again. So I want to make sure that we cover all the bases before we move on to the new questions. So first off, let's talk about the police certificate. While it's not mandatory, again, I highly recommend getting one if you can. It can save you a lot of time by avoiding a background verification process after submission. Next, if you are using a sponsor for your application, please, please, please don't forget to obtain an affidavit of support from them. it will strengthen your case and improve your chances of success. The next, scholarships. So even if you have uh, been awarded 100% scholarship, it is important to note that you still need to show sufficient funds, because scholarships may not cover your flight tickets or your gadget cost or expenses for your dependents or even your living costs in the initial weeks or months after arriving in Canada. So it's crucial to make sure that you have necessary funds to settle in comfortably, and you have to prove this to the immigration officer as well. Now, a disclaimer: Canada will thoroughly verify all the documents that are being submitted. So it's absolutely important to provide authentic documents only. Misrepresentation can result in a visa ban for up to 5 years, and definitely no one wants that. Lastly, the processing time for your application can depend upon a lot of factors, and every application is unique. So it's important to be patient and positive while you are waiting for the result. So that's basically a wrap from my side. I am now all set and eagerly awaiting to hear your questions. I'll move to the chat box now to see what questions you have. Please post your questions there and I'll be happy to take them out. So the first question that I can see is, hello, can we have a copy of the presentation, please? Yes, I'll definitely send it to all the people who are there in the webinar once the session will be done, and I'll also share the recordings of the session. Please, for the bank statement, is it for 6 months back or 6 months upfront? So it's like if you are applying today in the month of July, you need to have a bank statement right from the month of January till now. So that's kind of 6 months bank statements. This will ensure that all your funds are genuine and you have a source from where the money is actually coming in, and you're not just depositing the amount in bulk in one go before just applying for the visa. So that's why it's important to have a 6 months bank statement, and the money should come in frequently there. Are there any specific amounts required for the bank statement based on the age for applicant? So there is nothing as a fixed amount or a standard amount that should be there. It completely depends on the tuition fees and the province that they are choosing to study. So, for example, if an applicant is going individually, they should have at least 10,000 Canadian dollars as their living expenses. Plus, they should have money equivalent to their first year's tuition fees. So, for example, if the tuition fee for 1 year is 15,000 Canadian dollars and the living expenses we consider just 10,000 Canadian dollars, so that makes 25,000 Canadian dollars. Now, the applicant should not show an amount equal to just 25,000. They should have surplus to it, because you have to also show that you can cover your tickets back to your home country also. So you can just show 30,000 or 32,000 Canadian dollars, and age really doesn't matter here. It's more or less the same. Good day. What documents would you advise we add for a third-party sponsorship to prove relationship? So that completely depends upon who you are choosing as your sponsor. So in case, in third-party sponsor, if you're considering your employer, so obviously your employment proof, a written letter or affidavit from their side can go. If it's a family member, if it's your partner, then you can have your marriage certificate and still an affidavit. Or if it's a children, then you can have the birth certificate of your child, and which you can add along with an affidavit. Similarly, if it's the parents, then you can have your birth certificate, which states the name and the relation also, and then you can also get an affidavit from them. So it's more about who you are choosing, and then I can tell you what is the best document you can use. You talked about address in Canada. Is it the school address that should be used? Hi, Love Innocent. I didn't actually get your question, like which address you are talking about. Can you please clarify that? Next is, are fixed deposit certificates accepted for the visa application? Yes, fixed deposit certificates are accepted, provided that it should be on the name of the sponsor or the applicant. It cannot be any random family member, basically. It can be either a partner, the parents, or the child. That's the best way. My question is about the new IRCC portal. Is it advisable to use it? It really doesn't matter which portal you are using. It's just that they are trying it. But I'll still suggest you to stick with the old portal only, because that has been tried and tested. And I have not heard very positive things about the new portal till now. So this is just my personal suggestion, personal opinion, that try to stick to the old existing portal only. Can I have a recorded session? Yes, I'll share the recorded session with you. What if someone wants to accompany his wife to Canada who got the admission? What are the chances of both getting the visa? All right. So my suggestion here is to just apply for the the main applicant first. Don't mention that they want to bring their dependents also to Canada, because this will reduce their chances of getting a visa. Once the visa is approved for the main applicant, then you can file a visa for the dependents. Because if the applicant is taking their partner along with them to Canada, what is the reason to come back to the home country? So you are taking so your partner can be a very strong reason or a strong tie to your home country, but if you are taking your partner along with you, how will you justify that you will actually come back to your country? So it's always advisable to get the visa approved for the main applicant and then apply for a dependent visa. The chances are very high. If an elder sibling can sponsor a younger one, yes, that is doable. I joined this late. Can I get the recording? Yes, you will definitely get it. Does Canadian schools have options for installment tuition payment like UK schools? Yes, it is available in the schools. You can check with our team in the WhatsApp groups, or you can message me personally. I'll guide you with the same. In a situation where a student is studying a 4-year course, does she need to provide proof of fund for the entire duration or just the 1 year? No, it's not needed to provide the proof of funds for all the 4 years. Just the first year is enough. Does the total amount of proof of funds have to be in the amount for 6 months? Yes, actually. It can, the amount can flow in continuously every month. It's not needed that you have to show it the whole amount directly from the first month itself. So what is the maximum number of dependents one can take along? So the applicant can take the partner and children with them. So there is no count on how many people they can take along with them. If a student has been denied visa for USA and UK in a year, is it possible for them to get a Canada visa? Yes, it is possible. It's not an impossible thing to do. But yes, you have to justify everything very clearly, and your letter of explanation should explain the same. Like, why are you changing your countries frequently? And whatever previous refusal reasons you have to justify them also. Must the fund be available for 6 months, or only the closing balance is important? There should be a steady flow of funds, I would say. But yes, the closing balance is also important, but it doesn't mean that you are just depositing the whole amount in the last month only. So you should be having a continuous flow of money in the account. That's the most important thing. Hello, our office has been helping students to get admissions only because we feel that visa applications is not sure. Are you able to help and train any partners of yours who want to start offering visa applications? I didn't get it. Can you please message me personally on WhatsApp, and then we can get on a call and discuss this out. Does living expenses in Canada varies, or they are all the same? So if the main applicant, the living expenses are 10,000 Canadian dollars. Then for the first dependent, which will be the partner, there would be an additional living expenses needed, that is $4,000, and for every child it's $3,000 each. I already have a degree. Can I do another degree? Yes, you can do it. You have to just justify why you want to do it. You have to show career progression. Can an undergraduate go with dependents? Yes, they can. Is employment letter and payslip important? It's not a mandatory document, but yes, it is advisable to have it. Does Canada give visa to dependent spouse, and what are the requirements? Yes, Canada allows dependent visas, but again, it is always advisable to apply for the main applicant first, get the visa approved, and then we can apply for the dependent visa. What if the student is not an employee or have a business? Is the bank statement yearly? If the student is not an employee or have a business, that means they are just a fresh graduate. In those cases, yes, the parents will be the main sponsors, and you have to add this proofs from the parents. Is the bank statement yearly? For example, if the student has 2 years program, will it provide 2 years living expenses and 2 years tuition fee? No, they just need the to show the living expenses and tuition fee for the first year only. You mentioned some fees. Kindly take them again. So I mentioned about the application fees for the visa submission. So for applying for a visa, you have to pay 235 Canadian dollars, out of which $150 are for study permit and $85 are for the biometric fee. What is the turnaround time for the Canadian application, and what are the documents that can help fasten the visa decision time? So again, it's not a one time that will actually fit in. As per their official website, it's 6 weeks right now. But again, I've seen people getting approvals within 2 weeks, 3 weeks also, and I've seen people hanging in there for more than 7 to 8 weeks also. It's completely depend upon how strongly you present your case. So whatever documents I have suggested here, please try to include all of them or most of them in order to fasten up the visa approvals. Is there any other reason for applicants' visa to be rejected even after all documents have been properly uploaded? Yes, just uploading the document doesn't state that your visa will be approved, or it doesn't guarantee it. It's how you present your file. That is the most important thing. If a student has a baby, what's the probability of she getting her visa and that of the baby? Again, don't apply for the visa for the baby immediately along with the applicant, because that will be the strongest tie with that lady to show that they will actually come back to their home country. So just keep the baby's visa on hold, and once the lady gets the visa approved, then she can apply for the visa for her baby. Is it advisable for a spouse to provide his own account to IRCC if he has initially provided all the funds needed in his wife's account? No, it's not needed. And I have tried the new IRCC portal with faster. What do you have to say about that? Trust me, it doesn't really matter which portal you are using. But what I have seen till now is I have not seen much approvals from the new IRCC portal. But yes, in case you have heard about that, just go over there. It's kind of the process is ultimately the same. What are the requirements for caste? Is it the same as for the visa requirements? There is no caste for the Canada visa. It's just for the UK. Is it advisable to apply for a 1-year postgraduate certificate or diploma? What are the chances? It completely depends upon the previous education that the student has done. So I would suggest you to send me a message on WhatsApp along with the profile. I can guide you accordingly then. Is it possible to get the recording or slide? Yes, we'll share it definitely. I was denied visa twice. Please don't reapply immediately after getting your visa refused in the first time. try to understand what was the main reason of refusal and address those queries, those concerns in detail, and then only you should reapply. What's the maximum age of a child dependent? Ideally, it is someone under the age of 18. If an applicant has been refused earlier in Canada application, how best should such applicant do to reapply, and what's the chance of getting visa? You have to just address whatever concerns were raised in the first application. I would suggest ordering for the GCMS notes and know what brought the objection to the immigration officer. Once you address those concerns, yes, the visa can be approved easily. Can anyone sponsor students, or the financial statements has to be from the students? I have already told like who can be the sponsors. I'll take you to that slide again. You can take a screenshot, and I'll anyway share the presentation with everyone. So you can just make a note of it from there also. Here it is. You can see who all can be the sponsors. After the main applicants get their visa, and if the dependent is using a different bank statement, how much money should be there? How much living expenses for each child? So for dependents, for the spouse, it should be 4,000 Canadian dollars, and for the each child, it should be 3,000 Canadian dollars. Can someone who has an MBA go for another MSc program? Yes, they can go. However, they should justify why. Oh, I really enjoyed the session. Can you do same for UK? Thank you so much for your feedback. Oh, yeah, we'll definitely plan something similar for the UK as well. I created separate account for sponsorship, 20 million naira, still I was rejected. Did you justify the source of funds? I can discuss this thing in detail with you in person. Please drop me a message and I'll be happy to help you out. My WhatsApp number is here on the screen. You can take a note of it. What document is the work requirement in study? Also, so what document is the work requirement? This is for the students who have a co-op for their program. So if someone has a co-op, they have to upload the co-op letter also, and then they will get the study permit and the work permit all together. Also, can an undergraduate student go with dependents? Yes, they can. Do make fee payment before getting a visa? If yes, what happens if my visa is not up? I'm assuming you're talking about the tuition fees. If that is the case, yes, you have to pay the tuition fees upfront in case the visa is rejected. So in those cases, you can get a refund from your college. All of the college students, all the colleges have a refund policy. Does the duration of study matters for visa approval? For example, for an international student, must it be minimum of 2 years courses or less? No, the duration of the study doesn't impact the visa approval decision. It only impacts the postgraduate work permit duration. Can one bank statement provided cover for both applicant for his or her dependent? Yes, it can be. Using an education loan to apply for visa, explain the process. All right, so in case someone wants to use an education loan to apply for the visa, they have to first visit out a reputed bank that is again authorized by the Canadian government. Also, they recognize it. Submit all the documents, go through the financial background check and everything. And once the background is approved and they think that you are eligible to get a loan, bank will issue the loan. So you have to upload the sanction letter on your visa filing. How can we get the PDF file? I'll send it to you after the session. Can a Canadian citizen from Calgary be your guardian for an international student guidance? Yes, it is possible, but again, you have to prove why they want to be the guardian for the student, and again, what relation they have with the student. Yeah, I'll share the slides with you. Does the sponsor need to show bank pay slip? Yes, it's very much needed to have the bank pay slips, because that will show that, okay, the people are doing well here in their country also, and they just want to go for a career progression or something like that. Can so can dependence visa be applied for when the student is going for undergraduate? Yes, they don't have any restrictions on who can bring in their dependents. So anyone who is going for a undergraduate, postgraduate, masters, diplomas, whatever course you are choosing, you can bring in your dependents. If the first degree in home country is different from the new course in Canada, how best one can go with this? You have to just explain why you want to switch. So, as I mentioned earlier, also, it's important to justify three important things. So, purpose of the study in the program, availability of funds, and a strong tie. So, if you are justifying all these three things, your visa will be approved for sure. Can anyone going for certificate or diploma program go with their family? Yes. Please, can a student who get his visa approved after the start date of his program still travel to Canada with the approved visa? They have to check with their school. In case the school allows it, yes, they can do it. But in case it's not possible, so then you have to defer the admission and submit the same to the IRCC also. Is there any age limit for undergraduate students for visa and university process? No, there's no such age limit. Can spouses meeting the main applicant in Canada apply for spousal open work permit from their home country? If yes, what are the specific documents that are needed? So once you fill in the questionnaire, yes, obviously the spouses have to apply for open work permit in order to be eligible to work in Canada. And so once you fill in the questionnaire for the spouses, you will again get a document checklist, especially for that particular profiles. For our proof of fund, are we expected to show living expenses for 2 years for a 2-year program? So can we show the for the first year alone for a 2 years program? It can be for the first just first year tuition fees and the first year's living expenses. That is enough. No matter the student is going for a 2 years program, 3 years program, 4 years program, you just have to justify the funds and everything for a single year only, the first year. Total fee for embassy, it's 235 Canadian dollars. Out of which $150 is for the study permit and $85 is the biometric fee. Can a 4 months bank statement suffice? It can be. The minimum requirement is of at least 3 months. So a 4 month bank statement will be sufficient. But it is always advisable to have a 6 month statement. Yes, in case someone has not prepared it for it since the beginning, they can go with a 4 months bank statement. Can I get a sample letter of explanation? Yes, I'll definitely share it with you. Please send me an email about the same. Did you say we need to upload all documents in one single file? Like, please clarify on documents upload. All right. So, what I mean by a single file is, so if you can see my screen, and you have this column, proof of means of financial support. So, which means everything that you want to show about your finances, be it your receipt of the tuition fee payment, your initial deposit payment, be it your bank statement, be it a statement from your sponsor, or be it an education loan sanction letter, be it a GIC account in a Canadian bank. Every financial document should be merged in one file and uploaded next to it. Similarly, all the academic documents should be merged in one file and uploaded along with it. So all the relevant and related documents have to be merged in one file and uploaded in the columns next to it. I hope I'm clear with it. how much is the living expenses fees? So, except from Quebec, whatever province the student is going for, the living expenses are 10,000 Canadian dollars. If the student is choosing to study in Quebec, then they should have at least 13,000 Canadian dollars. How much money is required for proof of funds? So the money should be more than the tuition fees and the living expenses for first year. Please, I want to know more about the medical examination. It's not clear to me. So, like the Canadian government wants to know whether you are a fit and fines applicant or not, or you don't have any health, major health issues or something. So that's why they want to get a medical report for you. So for people from Nigeria, there are two options. Either they can go for an upfront medical exam, or they can just skip it out, file for their visa, and then the IRCC will send a request for a medical exam. So this is the panel physicians, the authorized physicians that are there who can do your medical exam. So you have to just search in your country. Like I'm checking it for Nigeria. And you will see all the doctors that are approved, all the clinics that are approved to do your medicals. You have to book an appointment to any of them, visit them, get a medical done. And they will give you a receipt, which you have to scan and upload in your file. What is your advice on an acceptable education gap? It completely depends upon the applicant's profile. But yes, it should not be more than, 5 to 7 years. But in case you are able to justify your gap of 5 to 7 years and why you want to study again after such a long gap, then that's completely okay. Is it possible to apply to Canada through loan? Yes, it is possible. Thanks for the session. Riya, kindly state the composition of the bank statement. So the bank statement has to be uploaded in the financial part. So if the applicant is the only sponsor, only the bank statement is needed. However, if they're having the partner, the parents, or anyone else also as a sponsor, so the bank statement also needs to be uploaded in proof of means of financial support. What if the student is not an employer, have a business? That means the student is a fresh graduate. And in those cases, they can use the bank statement or the employment proof and the business proof from their parents itself. My question has to do with the dependents. Is it better to let the main applicant receive their visa first, or it doesn't matter? Yes, I completely agree and support this thing. Let the main applicant receive their visa first. Once they have their visa, then only apply for the visa for the dependents. Because if a person is taking their family along with them, so if, for example, if I'm applying for a Canadian visa and I'm taking my spouse along with me, so what ties will I show? What will compel me to leave Canada and come back to my country? Nothing, because my partner is already there with me in Canada. So I don't want to come back. That's also fine. But if I'm not taking my spouse along with me, I can clearly mention that I'm married with this ABC person and he is staying back in the country. So obviously, once I'm done with my study, I'll come back to my home country for him. Please share the spreadsheet of the training. Yeah, I'll definitely send it out. The family document of is this for are married or for everyone? No, all these forms that I mentioned, everyone has to fill those forms because it includes the details about the other family members also, which includes your parents and siblings and your children, everything. So even if you are not in touch with any of your siblings or something, please include those details also. You don't have to hide anything from the immigration officer. And so it means that it is for everyone. Every single person has to fill the family information form. Kindly explain procedure if you're using a loan company to sponsor your education abroad. It often gets rejected. What are the causes? It can the chances are that the company from where you have taken a loan is not an authorized company to sponsor. That can be a big reason. Or you have not presented your documents in a proper manner. What value does IELTS add to the process, even if not required by the university? I would say it hardly matters for the English speaking countries like Nigeria, because the first language is English only. So no one really cares about the IELTS. Basically, it's just that you have to show your language proficiency, which can be justified from the YX score, NECO score, or a medium of instruction letter. So adding an IELTS will not change the decision or impact the decision in any manner. Can Envoy assist with visa application for our students? Unfortunately, no, we cannot assist with visa application for your students, but yes, we can always guide you about the process and all those things. Do I need any to add any extra documents for a dependent? Yes, you have to show the relation with the main applicant and also show the funds for their stay. If I have a sponsor statement of 40,000 US dollar balance, will they consider all amount for my education? That completely depends upon how your sponsor has presented the statement. You have to get an affidavit. So whatever your sponsor writes in that affidavit, that will matter the most. How long does the visa application take before making a decision now? Ideally, as per the Canadian government website, IRCC website, it is 6 weeks, but I have seen people getting the visa approved within 2 weeks also. 10,000 living expenses are per year or for 2 years. It is for per year, just a single year, which means 10,000 for every year. Can I use proof of investment as a way to prove my funds? Yes, that can be done. Can an applicant travel with the spouse? Yes, they can. Please, can it be acceptable? I'm sorry, Paul. I can't read this explanation here. I would request you to please send me a message on WhatsApp, or you can email me. My contact details are here on your screen, so you can take a note of it and send it to me. I'll guide you along. There. Can family accompany the student going for graduate certificate, diploma, bachelor's? Yes, they can. The Canadian government doesn't restrict anything. Living expenses for dependents. So the first dependent, it's 4,000 Canadian dollars, and for every other person accompanying, it's 3,000 Canadian dollars each. So, for example, if a family of three is going, then the living expenses would be 10,000 plus 4,000 plus 3,000. Similarly, if a family of four is going, it's 10,000 plus 4,000 plus 3,000 plus 3,000. I hope I'm clear with it. Can a student who has a degree apply for a college diploma, and what is the impact of this to the application? Yes, they can do it. However, they have to justify the intentions of going for a program again, and also how it will lead to a career progression. The purpose of your visit to Canada is not consistent. What does this mean, and how best to address in the reapplication? Okay, so the purpose of your visit to Canada is not consistent with the temporary stay, which means you have not justified strong ties to the home countries in the first application. And that's why the immigration officer, visa officer, thinks that the person will not come back to their home country after the completion of the studies. So, in those cases, the first and the most appropriate suggestion would be to order for the GCMS notes. And once you have the notes, review them, study the refusal remarks for the immigration officer, and then address those concerns. The visa will be up. Please throw some light on the experience letter mentioned in the list of documents. So, by experience letter, I mean, for example, if I'm working right now for a boy, and if tomorrow I want to apply for a visa, I have a job right now. So I will reach out to my company and ask them to provide a experience letter stating that yes, Riya Goel is working with Advoy at this position. This is her monthly annual salary and all of those things. She is in good conduct, and then they can talk about my behavior and how I stick to rules and regulations and all of those things, and from how long I'm working and every such thing. Yeah, I'll send the PDF to you. Can an undergraduate student go with dependents? Yes, they can. Also, the charges involved during visa application. Yes, there are charges involved in the visa application, which is 235 Canadian dollars. You can see it here. So the study permit fees is 150 Canadian dollars, and rest $85 are for the biometric fee. Is the bank statement yearly? For example, if a student has a 2-year program and will he provide 2 years living expenses or 2 years tuition fee? No, the living expenses and the tuition fees need to be just for the first year only. How long does it take for embassy? It's fixed or depend on countries. Basically, it's quick for the SDS countries. The people are getting the results within 10 or 12 days of filing only. But for non-SDS countries, it's not that the people are not getting the results. It's just they take a little more time in evaluating the documents and everything. So I would say 4 to 6 weeks is the ideal time people are getting the results, and I have seen this trend happening right now. What is the process of appeal after a visa rejection, or what can we do after a rejection? The first thing to do after a visa rejection is to order for the GCMS note, Global Case Management System notes. So whatever refusal letter we get in the GCK account or this portal, that just states a basic overview. Okay, this is the financial reasons, is the ground on which the visa is refused. But you will get to know what made the immigration officer think that the financials are not strong to refuse the visa. So the first and the most important thing to do is to order for the GCMS notes. However, it is important to note that being an international applicant, you cannot order the GCMS note. Someone who is there in Canada and has a valid status can order the notes on your behalf. Once you get the notes, study them in detail, understand the concerns raised by the immigration officer, and then reapply. What sign do I get to know? It's just how you process your application, how you submit your documents. Is employment letter and payslip important? Yes, in case a student has an educational gap for even a year also, it is important. You have to justify that, okay, you are not just taking a break randomly, you are actually working, and this is the employment letter and the payslips are the proof of the same. Can you share the common causes of study visa rejections? So mostly the study visas are refused on 4 to 5 common grounds, which are first being the finances. Second, it can be poor or irrelevant study path, which means your previous education is not related to the next program you are choosing. Then weak family ties, which can also be said as intention, which means, you are just saying it for the sake of saying that you just want to come to Canada, study, and go back. But your intentions are not clearly justified. So that is a reason. Another is finances and employment prospects. So if you don't have a strong financial backup, plus a clear-cut justification of the same, then yes, the visa can be refused. Also, if the program you are choosing doesn't have much future prospects, that is also a potential reason of a visa refusal. If an employer is your sponsor, do they need to do an affidavit? Yes, it is highly recommended to get it done. Can a sibling sponsor his brother? Yes, they can do it. I'll answer this. Yeah, I'll send the presentation to everyone. If it's a 2-year program, they need to show proof of funds for the 2 year or 1 year. Just 1 year is sufficient and needed. Do we still have schools in Canada via Advoy that can accept students without IELTS? If you're talking about September 23 intake, it is closed. Unfortunately, we cannot help you with that. But yes, in case you're looking at January 24 intake schools, yes, we have a lot of options where we can help you get a offer letter without IELTS also. I would like to know if an undergraduate student can go with a dependent. Also, how is family visa application done as a student dependent? So once you are applying, again, I would suggest apply and get the approval for the main applicant first. And once the visa is approved, then only go for the visa for filing for the dependents. So you can just select it from the here only, apply to come to Canada, and you'll get to select the options. What is the current cost for health insurance? Is this document passed a part of the visa requirement? No, health insurance is not needed in Canada. You need to provide pictures to support your visa. I don't get which picture are you talking about. If you're talking about the digital photo, then yes, it is required. You can see in the document checklist, the one that I mentioned. But it would be for the applicant only. But apart from it, no other picture is needed. Can a student get MSc nursing? That completely depends upon the student's profile. You can message the team in the WhatsApp group and they will guide you accordingly. Can I get the recording? Yes, you will get it. Can the main applicant's bank statement be used for the dependents as well? Yes, if you are applying for the visa separately, which means the applicant has a visa approved already. Yes, you can use the same statement for the dependent's visa also. For someone who is single, can a study leave with or without pay from employer be sufficient for home ties? This is a very strong proof of your showing your home ties. But again, this cannot be the only proof that you will use in your application. Why is it more difficult to obtain postgraduate visa? No, it's not the case that it's difficult to get a postgraduate visa, but what I have seen is vice versa. It's easier to get a postgraduate visa approved rather than a graduate visa. But again, it depends upon how you present the application. If you are convincing enough, if you present your file in a manner that will make the immigration officer convinced about your intentions, and if you have a study gap and you justify that also, that will definitely lead to a visa approval. Can a 38 years old with dependent apply? Yes, they can. Would flow in of large money? Yeah. Would flow in of large sum of money into an account affect the visa decision? Yes, definitely. This is the biggest red flag, and please don't do it. That don't deposit amount in bulk in one go only for the visa filing. You should have a steady flow of income coming into your accounts. Does some institution get higher chances of visa approved? No, there's nothing like that. If you're applying to a specific institute, you will get a visa approved. It's more about the course you are choosing and how is it related to your previous studies that gets the visa approved, not the institution. Can an undergraduate apply for his or family as dependents? Yes, they can do. Can an applicant be sponsored by another person, like a relative that lives in another country, who funds will be in another currency? Yes, that is fine and doable. However, you need to get an affidavit of support from that person and also justify why that relative is sponsoring you. Would constant withdrawal of large sum of money affect visa decision? Yeah, if something is kind of bringing a red flag to your application, then obviously it will impact the visa decision. Do you think 4 months bank statement is not good to use? Ideally, it is suggested to use a 6 months bank statement because that will show that you have funds continuously for a long period of time and you are not accumulated the funds, in a near time frame. That is why it's advisable to have 6 months bank statement. But yes, in case you don't have it over the 4 months bank statement, it's completely fine and all right. If I'm using a fixed deposit certificate, do I need to attach my statement of account or my sponsor statement of account, or is it a fixed certificate just enough? It depends upon what amount you are showing in with your fixed deposit certificate. The more proof that you include with your file, the stronger it becomes. Is this opportunity available for all African countries? Yeah. It's this was mainly centered for the African market only, especially the English-speaking countries where they don't require an IELTS or something. If a student is already studying degree in home country first year and had applied undergraduate diploma in Canada, can he add the current study information? If the student is supposed to complete it, then yes, they should add it. But if they want to drop in between, don't add it. It will create a negative impression. What are the chances of family applying together with the main applicant? Is it advisable? No, I'll not advise it uh, because that will decrease your chances to justify your home ties. So you cannot justify your home ties if you're taking your family, what else is left in your country to come back. So it's always advisable to get the visa for the main applicant approved and then apply for the dependents. It's quicker and easier for both. Next up, what will a document summarizing? Yeah, this will be the PDF and the recorded session will be shared with all of you soon. Can we apply for the visa with the conditional offer letter or LOA? That depends upon the conditions that are there in your offer letter. However, if you're using a conditional offer letter, try to prove that okay, you are meeting the conditions and everything. Does it work with ICIC that can help students submit visa application? No, we don't work with any ICIC agent. Can an undergraduate go with a mother as dependent to Canada? Yes, they can. Is it a good idea to go for a postgraduate diploma in a college in Canada that doesn't offer postgraduate work permit, then transition to an MSc in Canada? The applicant can do it, but it doesn't really matter. And they can directly apply for an MSc also if they want to. What does the acronym GCM note stand for? GCMS is Global Case Management System. Can we have a webinar like this for USA? Definitely, we'll try to arrange one soon. When do we get the slide? Most probably either today or tomorrow. Post this. Tomorrow we'll send it to you. Can someone that's not related to your directly, like a friend or boss, sponsor your studies? A friend cannot sponsor, but yes, your boss can sponsor your studies. Did Canada have a living expenses like UK? Yes, they have living expenses that is 10,000 Canadian dollars per year. Can someone who already has an MSc degree, can he or she apply to study for a graduate certificate or diploma program? Yes, they can do it. However, they need to justify and prove why this program, why they are going for a new program again. Please confirm the amount required for each child if it is 3,000 Canadian dollars per month. Yes, it is 3,000 Canadian dollars. If a student was refused to visit a visa since 2019, can he apply for a student visa by 2024? Yes, they can do it. However, please disclose the previous visa refusal. Don't try to hide it in the application. Otherwise, it would be the candidate can ban you also. And who is permitted to sponsor you? 1 second, I'll take you to the slide. You can take a screenshot. So all these people can be your valid sponsors, and this is stated by IRCC themselves. So you can take a screenshot of the same. Can an applicant present more than one bank statement as proof once? Definitely. There is no limit of how many bank statements you can use. Okay. But this is already answered. Can you please throw some light on the scholarships? How can one easily get a scholarship in Canada? Let's keep this webinar to the Canadian visa process only if you want to know about the scholarship. In brief, I would say it's not very easy and very common to get a scholarship in Canada, first thing, because the study is already very affordable as compared to other countries. However, if you still want to go with the scholarship, you will have to depend upon the internal scholarships that are provided by this. How can I get a sample of SOP for visa application? Please drop me an email about the same. I'll send it to you for your. Can someone use a fixed investment balance for visa application? Yes. This is already. What ways to show strong ties to your home countries? Okay, so to justify strong ties to your home countries, you can show an employment letter from your future employer, or if your current employer can give you a leave, temporary leave for your duration of studies. That can be a strong tie. Second, If you have a business, that obviously is a very strong tie to your home country because some people spend a lot of time building any business. So no one wants to leave and move to a different country altogether. Then your parents or your family can be a very strong tie to your home country. Next, we have property. So if you have any property on your name or if you have a property on your parents' name, that can be a strong tie to your home country. Um, Apart from it, what career prospects you have after completion of that particular course in Canada in your home country. That can also be a very strong way to show the home ties. What value does IELTS add to the process? IELTS doesn't impact the decision. When showing bank statement for visa application, are you providing statement for entire study duration or just first year only? Just the first year is needed. I need to reconfirm that undergraduates and postgraduate students can bring in their dependents from Nigeria because most times the visa is refused. Hi, Julia. So yes, the people, whether they are going for an undergrad studies or postgrad studies, they can bring in their dependents from Nigeria. However, the most important thing to keep in mind is that please do not apply for the dependents along with the main applicant. Let the main applicant get the visa approved. Once it is done, then only apply for the dependents. Total fee for MSA is 235 Canadian dollars. Please, while applying for a dependent visa to join the student in Canada, will the family member apply under the visitor visa? There is a category that's the spouse and the children. So for spouse, there is an open work permit basically. So that means the spouse is eligible to work up to 40 hours per week as compared to the student is just allowed to work for 20 hours per week. And children also get the study permit. But please make sure that the applicant has a visa approved already. Then only the children get the study permit. Dear Riya, please send the Zoom templates to me for attached proper application. Yeah, definitely I'll send it to you. Can some apply when the bank statement is not yet 6 months? Try to have it for at least 3 to 4 months, and then if 6 months is not available. What type of visa does a dependent apply for? The dependents apply for an open work permit. Does the student need to have travel history before applying to Canada? No, it is not needed, and having a travel history doesn't impact your visa decision also. If your employer is your sponsor, do they need to do an affidavit? Yes, they have to. Is it a must to have a travel history? No, not at all. Having a travel history doesn't impact or change the visa decision in any way. What about applying with my spouse as a dependent and our children can be ties back home? Will this work? No, why do you want to take your show your spouse also in the first place? Tell them that your spouse and children are staying back in the country, which will again be a more solid proof. So once your visa is up, then you can apply for your spouse also. How much money is required for proof of fund? Something more than the first year's tuition fees and living expenses. So, for example, if your tuition fee for 1 year is 15,000 Canadian dollars and the living expenses are 10,000 Canadian dollars, so you should have money more than 25,000 Canadian dollars in your account. And Nigerians restricted to study LLM in Canada? No, there is no such restriction. When uploading the documents, example finances, do you need to add explanation statement? Yes, you have to add a letter of explanation to your file, but you can add it in the client information section. How soon after the main applicant's visa has been approved can the dependents apply? They can apply the next minute also. There is no restrictions in those terms. Your applications, what are the age limits for diploma courses and postgraduate courses and the bachelor's degree? Neither the schools nor the immigration of department has stated anything about the age limits. It's just that if you can justify a career progression and justify the educational gap, you're good to go. Who is permitted to sponsor? I'll send you the PDF. You can look into that. What if the intake time pass possible to be late for embassy application? This may be a few weeks. So you have, in those cases, you have to check with the school. In case school allows you to start at a later time, you can travel. But in case the school doesn't allow that, you have to request a deferral and submit the deferred offer letter to the embassy also. Doesn't matter if the program is 1 year or 2 years for international students. No, the duration doesn't impact the visa decision. The duration will only impact the postgraduate work permit duration. For a family of 7 who want to travel to Canada, how much will be the cost? I can give you the max here. You can do the calculations. It's 10,000 plus 4,000 and then 3,000 for the remaining 5 members each. You can do the maths. What if the student is working for herself? How should the experience be phrased? If the student is working for herself, I assume that the person must be having a business, so they can show the business proof, the annual income that is there, and that can be a justification. Can 22 years old and above still apply to colleges in Canada for postgraduate programs? Yeah, definitely. 22 is not a very very big number. So I have seen people getting visa approved at 25, 26 also for postgraduate studies. For Canada study, what if the student doesn't have enough money and hopes to work and pay off the apartment? How do we go about it? Never ever state this thing in the visa application file. It's a clear-cut rejection. You have to, as I mentioned earlier, you have to prove the immigration officer that you have the funds available and you can sponsor the stay without having to work in Canada. So even if you want to go this way, just don't disclose it. It's doable. People do it, but don't disclose it to the immigration officer. How much is the student expected to have as living expenses for visa? It's 10,000 Canadian dollars. Do Canadian schools accept tuition installments payments like UK schools? Yes, they do. In a situation whereby the applicant doesn't receive salaries or payment via his bank account, does he or she still need to submit a pay slip or just the financial statements? In case a person is not getting the salary in the bank account, they can still get a pay slip from their employer, or they can get it written from the employer, the salary proof letter, and which you can use for your visa file. How do I get the GCMS note link after the refusal? Please drop me a message on WhatsApp. I'll send you the link. For Canada study, what if the student has... Okay, I have already answered this thing about work and part payment. Next question is, which universities take lesser down payments from $500 to 1,500 Canadian dollars? You can message my team on the WhatsApp. They will definitely help you out with the same. Prince Jara, please answer my question. Prince, I'm so sorry for missing it out. I still have, almost 100 questions left. Please drop me your question again and I'll make sure to answer every question before I wind this session up. What reason should be given for a sibling sponsorship letter? So sibling can clearly mention why they are willing to sponsor. Obviously, it's a blood relation. They can justify that, okay, my brother or sister is going for the higher studies abroad and I'm doing this and that in this organization. This is my monthly income after, all the expenses and all of these things. And I have this much money available in my bank accounts. So which I am willing to provide to my sibling, and later once they get a decent job, we can just negotiate the things out. I need the record, please. I'll definitely share it with you. Maybe have a list of schools that don't require as an application fee for postgraduate fees. Yeah, please drop a message in the WhatsApp group that you have. The team will get back to you with the options. Is there any school with application fee waiver? let's keep the session to just the immigration side, the visa part. For all these application fees, waivers, and the tuition fee deposits, amounts, and all of these things, please, I request you to message us on the WhatsApp group. The team will pick it up and answer you there. Would bank statements be required for when tuition and boarding have been paid upfront? In this case, for private or boarding schools. In case you have paid the entire tuition fees for first year and the living expenses also, it's still advisable to have at least some more funds, because there can be an emergency situation also which can arise at any point of time. You need funds for that. Plus, you also have to buy the tickets when from Canada, so that also needs to be there. So again, it's advisable, but again, you can skip, reduce the amount that is there needed at the bank state. Is it advisable to apply to school which does not offer postgraduate work permit? No, it's not advisable. How will the student get the postgraduate work permit? They're just wasting their duration. Please, the living expenses for a year or 1 month. 10,000 Canadian dollars is for a year, and 833 Canadian dollars something would be per month. Is it not too early to apply for a visa for September 2024 program this month? Yes, it is definitely too early. Right now, please submit the application for September 23 or January 24 only. Don't submit the application for September 24. Make sure your file is strong. You have a lot of time in hand now. Did someone work with its visitor visa? No, a person with a visitor visa cannot work. It's not allowed and it's illegal also. So, if the Canadian government catches you out, they will definitely, deport you from Canada and ban you also. Yemi has asked, do Canadian schools accept tuition installments payment like UK schools? Yes, they do. Can I get a sample each of the SOP and the letter of explanation? SOP and the letter of explanation are the same thing. Again, there cannot be a standard sample that you can use. Every SOP should be unique as per the applicant's profile. However, please send me an email. I'll definitely share some of the SOPs or letter of explanations with you. When is the best time to apply for a spousal open work permit? Once the visa is approved or when the student enters Canada and obtains the study permit? Ideally, it is like once the study permit is received by the applicant, but it doesn't also matter. Once the visa is approved, we can apply for the spousal open work permit. Riya, please send me the recording. There is so much valuable info that couldn't be noted down as we are moving by. Thank you so much for your positive comment. I'll definitely send the recording to you. What type of visa should the dependents apply for after the main applicant has gotten their visa? So it would be an open work permit. What is the visa rejection rate in East Africa? I can't exactly comment on the visa rejection rate, but it would be somewhere around 20 to 30%. The exact data can be checked from the IRCC website. They update these details there. You can send me a message on WhatsApp or email me. I'll share the link with you. Can we get the PDF you're using as your slide? Yes, definitely. I'll send it to you. Can students switch from student visa to work visa? I am not an immigration lawyer to comment on this, but yes, students do this. However, it is not advisable to do it. They should go with the student route first. Once their study is completed, then they can switch to a postgraduate work. I am Nigerian residing in Dubai under work status. I got an admission to study in Canada. Can I apply from Dubai or do I have to come back to Nigeria and apply? Also, is there any age limit for studying an undergraduate course in Canada? No, you can apply from Dubai. You don't need to come to Nigeria firstly and then apply for it. You can just explain the reason for applying from Dubai in your letter of explanation. And again, there is no age limit for studying an undergraduate course in Canada. Neither the universities nor the IRCC have commented anything on it. How do I sort accommodation for two adults and two children outside the school campus? You can find a lot of websites where you can find the accommodation. You can send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll share some links with you where you can find the accommodation. How do you navigate applying for a study permit for a program you have no work or education experience in? It is not advisable to go with a program where you don't have any relevant work or education experience. That is a clear-cut rejection. Make sure you are selecting a relevant program. It should be either related to your education or your previous work experience. Can a student resume to Canada with his family 2 months before school resumption? They don't allow people to travel 2 months before the school starting date. So it's always advisable to travel, around 28 days before the start date of the course. Can a student who is pregnant secure a Canadian visa? The chances are very less. Please, I'll share the recording. Yeah, definitely. Please, what is the link to join your WhatsApp group? You can note down my number here. It's reflected on your screen. Drop me a message. I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. Can we use the new IRCC portal? Yes, you can use it. Can a student go to Canada with visiting visa and change to student visa over there? Getting a visiting visa is more difficult than getting a student visa. After 2 years undergraduate diploma, can the student get postgraduate work permit? Yes, the student can get a postgraduate work permit after you're done with the 2 years program. The duration of the postgraduate work permit will be 3 years. Um, I guess I have covered almost all the questions. In case I've still missed anything, I'm really sorry. Please feel free to email me or send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll be more than happy to answer every single thing there. Please, can a student who get his visa approved after the start date of his program still travel to Canada with the approved visa? If the school doesn't have an available takes or does not allow development, what can the student do? Then he will know, lose the approved visa. The student can request switch in the school. They can apply to a different school for the current intake and then they can fly with that. Does the age of the student influence visa approval? No, it doesn't. What documents would suffice for evidence of work requirement in study? This is only for the people who have a mandatory co-op along with the program. If the applicant doesn't have a co-op, it's not needed. IRCC is fast at movement. We have gotten visas within 5 days after biometrics, 1 week and above. Yeah, I definitely agree with this. They have cleared a lot of backlogs also now, so the decision time has also reduced. How do you calculate your proof of funds for the dependents? So it's 10,000 for the main applicant, 4,000 Canadian dollars for the first dependent, and 3,000 Canadian dollars for every individual dependent that is going along. Why is students' visa refusal high in Nigeria? All right. So the main reason which I have noticed is that um Again, finances is the big reason, and another big reason is taking the dependents along. So, finances and weak family ties, I would say, are the most common reasons why the Nigerian people have such a high visa refusal rate. So, if you can just work on these things, your visa can be approved easy. I visited Canada as a visitor. Unfortunately for me, I got a job offer. Is it approved for me to work with a visitor card while applying for a work permit? Or do I have to come back to my home country and apply for a work permit? You can you have to apply for a work permit. You cannot work on a visitor visa. You have to apply for work permit, get it changed, and then only you can start working. Can I be turned down on arrival? Do you mean at the airport? Yes, if yes, then yes, it can happen. If they doubt your intentions. Sorry, I didn't get this answer or response. Can a student who is pregnant secure a Canadian visa? Um, the chances of getting a visa approved for a candidate, a pregnant person would be very less. Can I convert my visit visa to student visa while in Canada? Yes, that is doable. However, getting a visitor visa is more difficult as compared to getting a student visa. So just go with a student visa first. Can a study applicant, Nigerian national, get admission in Canada without IELTS? Yes, it is possible. Nigerian students don't require IELTS or any other language test. Their via for NICO score would justify their language proficiency. Can a student take a short course 3 months on a tourist visa? Yes, they can do it. With this, thank you so much for taking out the time. This was a really interactive session. And thank you so much for being here and for being such a lovely audience. In case I have missed anyone's questions, I'm extremely sorry. Please feel free to message me on WhatsApp or you can send an email to me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And also, the recording along with the presentation will be shared with you very soon on your emails that you used to register. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.